Apple's been known for removing a lot of different types of technology over the years. You know, the headphone jack, SD card slots, USB ports, but there's a growing number of reports saying that Apple might even ditch a new technology they adopted years ago, 3D Touch. If this is going to happen, how's it going to go? This growing rumor comes from a man named Kuo, who's been known of calling a lot of things in the past. He's a very popular leaker, so really hope Apple doesn't pin a assassin on him, because that seems like the next logical step after imprisoning people for telling the world that there's a blush gold iPhone in existence. But Kuo's basically saying that the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone, the one that's intended to be budget in order to cut prices, might not have a 3D Touch feature, and I was very hesitant to believe this for several reasons. 3D Touch is a feature that was first implemented not on the iPhone 7, but on the iPhone 6S, which is a very old iPhone now. Apple's still selling it, but it's very close to being discontinued. Basically, all iPhones Apple sells, with the exception of the SE, have 3D Touch. See, my theory is that Kuo was getting confused between rumors, and is just hearing that the new iPhone SE2 refresh, that growing number of reports are saying is happening in June, he was getting those rumors confused with the new iPhone 10 rumors of later on this year. I don't think that the new iPhone SE is going to have 3D Touch. I think the purpose of that phone is to remain cheap. The last SE didn't have it, and they're just not interested in adding that. And I felt like he was kind of expanding on that and accidentally applying it to the new 6.1-inch LCD. I feel like removing the 3D Touch feature, which is just a small part of an iPhone's display that allows it to measure the distance between the digitizer and the glass so that it can register a press. And Apple's been mastering this technology a lot, as in they've perfected it on the iPhone 10. There's a lot less dead spots now, as in places where 3D Touch wouldn't work quite right. So Apple's been trying to perfect this pressure-sensitive technology for years that was first kind of experimented with on the first generation Apple Watch, actually. The Apple Watch technically does not have 3D Touch. It has something called Force Touch, which is essentially the same thing. Only difference is with 3D Touch, there are 3 different ways now to interact with your device. There's, of course, the regular tap, there's the press hard, and then there's the press extra hard. So you can peek at a preview and then press harder a second time to open the app entirely. So my theory is that while we're getting a lot of reports saying that Apple, for the sake of getting iPhones cheaper, you know, globally there's less people buying new smartphones every single year, Apple's having to cater to get people to buy new iPhones every year by making them cheaper, like the rumored 5.8-inch iPhone 10 of this year. That's rumored to start at $900 instead of $1,000, because they think that that will expand the iPhone into more markets, more people will be able to afford it. In order to keep prices low, they're going to axe that 3D Touch feature in order to save a little bit of money on manufacturing. But it would be kind of interesting if Apple invented this new technology and it was an exclusive to their iPhones. You know, we really haven't seen that type of technology with force pressure sensitivity expanded on many Android phones. We haven't really seen that. And to see Apple kind of go back on it and say, you know, we invented this, we're proud of it, but seems like no one cares about it, so we're going to cancel it. That would feel very much like backpedaling, which is something Apple usually doesn't like to do. It would be kind of like if Apple got a bunch of hate for the iPhone 7 not having a headphone jack, so they decide to bring it back. It would be like, what are we doing here? Lots of other companies are known for backpedaling on ideas and features, but I feel like Apple usually doesn't. So that's why I'm going to say that Kuo, while you do leak a lot of stuff, I think he is often wrong about a lot of things. Back before the 10.5-inch iPad was coming out, he also said that a iPad without a home button was about to launch. Of course, that never happened, and there's a dozen other things that he's said would happen, between saying that a new budget iPad is coming out in Q3, actually came out in Q1, or saying that a blush gold iPhone is right around the corner, when turns out, no, product red on the 8, not gold on the 10. I'm guessing this is one of those confused rumors where we're just reading about the iPhone SE in mass production. That does not have 3D Touch, of course, but the regular iPhone 10s, the more premium priced ones that are coming out later in September, I think those are going to retain 3D Touch. Because even if you're charging $900 to $1,000 for a phone, Apple's got this down to a science. They've been doing it since the 6S. They did it on the 7. And they're still able to build those phones and make them incredibly cheap, despite them also having 3D Touch. So I don't think removing that feature is going to make manufacturing and selling the phone a heck of a lot cheaper, but I could definitely understand maybe removing it, or at least removing the 3D capabilities of it on the 6.1-inch model. Perhaps this is a new idea. This is not backed by any evidence. This is just an idea I'm theorizing. That 6.1-inch LCD model, the rumored budget one that could start at even as low as $550, maybe it will have Force Touch like the Apple Watch, as in you can press in once, but it won't have that 3D Touch feature that allows you to press in once and then a second time to open apps even even further. See, Apple's already come up with like iPhone Force Touch replacements, like on the SE, where you just hold down on a live photo for the live photo to play instead of pressing harder. I don't think Apple likes that more than just the actual 3D touch press of a live photo or 3D touch press on the lock screen to allow your dynamic wallpaper to move. I don't think Apple prefers just holding it down, but in order for that phone to remain cheaper, since this is supposed to be a new line rumored to be called just iPhone and that's it, but y'all know that means that we're just going to refer to it as the year and the screen size, because 5 years from now it won't be referred to as iPhone, it'll be referred to as the 6.1-inch LCD 2018 iPhone. Thanks for simplifying the name of that smartphone, Apple, thank you. But regardless, I think it makes sense that the budget model may not have the exact same 3D touch features of the other premium ones, but I just wanted to clarify to the people thinking that 3D touch was going to die on all iPhones entirely, because that appeared to be a rumor that was growing. The fact that Apple can keep selling and keep producing iPhone 6s and 7s and sell them as budget phones now between $500, $600, even as low as $400. If you're looking in that range, you can still get phones with 3D touch for that cheap. I don't think they're suddenly going to apply that on brand new 2018 iPhones and save a ton of money. Maybe just a little bit, but knowing Apple, it's probably not going to be worth it because they are for sure about the features they like to add. I understand that a lot of users out there don't really use 3D touch that much. I personally do, but not for like apps on the home screen. For me, mostly it's for the dynamic wallpapers, previewing messages in the Messages app, and most of which I enjoy with live photos, being able to bring motion to a certain picture and see what else was going on or what the audio sounded like while that photo was being taken. That's when I use it the most, and I understand on the SE you can do it via holding, but I think Apple looks at that as a compromise. They're like, okay, there is a way to do it, but that's not the way we want you to do it. And personally, whenever Apple makes a budget iPhone, it's clearly to just cater to a larger audience. So if the 6.1-inch LCD iPhone is made to appeal to more audiences, I think they're okay with it not being the best possible iPhone. But for those two new iPhone 10s coming out later, the 5.8-inch and the Plus model, when those come out, even though they're supposedly going to be cheaper than this year's 10, I still think they're going to be the flagship premium experience that Apple wants everyone to have. They want everyone to go to that model. Even though they know not everyone can afford it, they still think that's the ideal way to go. Similar to the iPhone 5C and the 5S. It's like, you know, the 5C doesn't have a Touch ID sensor and the 5S does, but the 5C, you know, it's just meant for going to the most amount of people possible. Clearly, we want you to use biometrics. We want you to buy the 5S, but we're providing an option if you can't afford it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about 3D touch. Do you think it's gonna go? Do you use it fairly often? Would you be okay with all of the future iPhones not having it anymore and Apple backpedaling on this? Could the 6.1-inch LCD just have Force Touch like an Apple Watch and not 3D touch? Maybe that could save on some money, or is Kuo just getting his leaks confused between the SE2 and this new LCD iPhone? All that good stuff, let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.